Hello everyone, and this is MisAnthro Pony, and this is a panel that I am hosting called Let's Talk Ponies. Here I'm going to be talking about what it's like to be a reviewer of MLP, what it's like to be a fan of the show, and I've also got a couple of surprises in store for you. And if I have enough spare time, I'll actually be doing some questions at the end of the panel. Oh, we got a couple of more visitors. Feel free to come by. Okay, so just to make sure that the audio on the computer works, I'm going to play this quick clip. All right, let's not go into detail on what that was about. Okay, all right. I am known as MisAnthro Pony, and I started doing reviews of MLP in the last couple of months. So this panel is going to focus on what it's like to talk about the show, what it's like being a fan, and other stuff like that. All right, so I should probably start by saying that I'll start by talking about what it's like being a reviewer of the show, and some advice in helping you realize if you want to be a reviewer of the show, the advice that I could give you so you can get a good start. Okay, the first thing you need to know is do not make angry videos against other bronies that you don't think are good reviewers. Trust me, it will not end well for anyone. And right here is think of a topic that would interest people. Now, it's not enough to just say that you're going to talk about reviewing MLP and the show and other stuff like that. You also have to choose a topic related to the show that will get people interested. Like, what do you think will interest people besides just talking about what you thought of an episode? Which brings us to talking about things other than the show. You can try reviewing other MLP material. You could try reviewing the comics. You can talk about individual characters in their own videos. I actually know a couple of people who are known for talking about certain characters instead of just each individual episodes and each of its individual happenings. The thing is, I know there's this Silver Quill. He made a video that focused on the relationship of the cakes, and he's actually a widely known reviewer, and he doesn't do just episode reviews. He also talked about, recently, he talked about a deeper, in-depth analysis on what Tanks for the Memories was trying to do. He did an in-depth talk about what it means with coping with the death of a loved one. So that's what you can do. Instead of just talking about the episode, you can talk about other things that the show causes to come to mind when you're thinking about, if you want to add more deep thoughts as to how you feel about the show. And another thing, you need to try and respect other people's opinions towards the show. I know this is a fandom, and that is really hard to do, but the last thing that I want is to see the Brony fandom become as bad as the Sonic the Hedgehog fanbase.
Yeah, that show's bad.
The less we know about them, the better, I know.
Yes, I'm a Sonic fan. Even I find that fanbase ridiculous.
The game was worse, right?
Oh, no. Yeah, Sonic 06. Let's not talk about that atrocity. Okay. Now, another thing that you should do if you're going to be a reviewer of the show is to get good audio. In other words, get a microphone that makes your voice come out clearly. Like, never use the automatic microphone that is on your computer, because it will sound terrible, like you're some kind of robot in an asphyxiated, distorted...
Like a Dalek.
Yeah, it's a Dalek kind of thing. So, actually, I know Mr. Enter uses something. He just got a new microphone. It's a snowball microphone, and it actually it's... Compared to his other videos, it shows a really vast difference in the audio, at least when he's talking. As far as I know, there are a couple of people who use have used the snowball microphone when they want to talk about something. As far as a microphone that doesn't cost a lot of money goes, I can't name any ones that are cheap, and I apologize for that. And another thing that you can do, as a reviewer of the show, what you ultimately want to do is contribute any kind of ideas that can help people understand why people like the show. At least from my experience, what it means to be a Brony analyst is helping people understand why the show has a fan base. You know, I can't believe a show with the title My Little Pony Friendship is Magic has gained a fan base this widespread. And because there are a lot of people out there who still don't fully grasp the whole situation, you can, I will ask questions at the end, you can talk about the show to help them realize what it means to be a fan of the show and help people understand why they like it. Maybe they like the characters, they like the storytelling, they like the imagination of the universe that was created for this show, all sorts of things. Let's see if there's anything. Another thing you have to know is that making videos, depending on how good you want them to be and what kind of content you want in them, no matter what, the videos you make are going to be a time-consuming process. Like, just my videos can take at least an hour to make. I have to record my voice upon reading the script, and I also have to get the audio, not just the audio, I also have to get the visuals from the episode that I'm reviewing. So the thing is, I don't really know a lot about internet stuff. My best luck is that there is this YouTuber who uploads HD 1080 quality of the video, the episode that just came out that day, and I have to download it immediately before it's pulled by, you know, Hasbro for reasons. Yeah, so, and a thing that you need to know about putting the video together, another thing you need to know is the editing process. When you edit the video together, you want to make sure that everything from the visuals to the audio is to your liking. So, I'm sorry. So, if you want this line of dialogue that you're saying to play over this visual from the episode, then you gotta try and match it up a bit. I'm gonna be honest, I actually use Movie Maker. Yeah, I hear all of you laughing now. You say that Movie Maker isn't a good thing, but you'll actually be surprised the high quality videos that you can be capable of making if you know how to use it properly. All you have to do is get good audio, apply it to the system, and splice scenes from the episode that you're reviewing into the order that you want them to be displayed. And you also have to make sure that depending on the quality that you want, you can upload it in either standard or HD. Although HD takes longer to upload, it of course has better quality. So what you ultimately want to do is make sure that you don't upload a whole bunch of videos at one time. Like at least 2 videos a week. Yet you can't upload 3 to 5 to 7 videos a week, because if you put too much content on your channel at once, people aren't going to be able to catch up with it, and they'll think, I can't keep up with this guy. He's coming up with too much material. So it's best to do it at a steady pace. Like at least 1 to 2 videos a week is good. Let me see. Is there anything else that I haven't brought up that's on this list? Oh, the most important thing that you have to be as a Brony analyst is have fun. Just have fun with the work that you're doing. Like, I actually talked to this guy in high school. He was in a computer class, and he told me a story about how he was getting a really good pay for this job. But the thing is, he wasn't enjoying himself while he was working. You could have as much money as you want, but it won't matter if the career that you are currently in isn't something that you wanted to pursue. So if you're going to have a job, then you should have a job that benefits society in a positive way and is something that you enjoy doing. Because this is something that I noticed about Digibro and Tommy Oliver. The problem with their reviews is that at some point they started losing interest in the show, and they started losing interest in reviewing the show. And if you lose interest in your work, people are going to notice it, and the quality of your work is going to drop because of it, and the audience is going to feel less interested in what you have to say about it. So that's the most important thing. No matter what you have to say about the episode, you have to have fun while talking about it, because you don't want to bore your audience to death. That's something that Smutboy does.
Yeah, there's Brony's reviewing anime.
All right. Yeah, that is something else you could do. Besides reviewing MLP, you can review other things. Like, my first non-MLP related review was a 30-minute talk about Avengers Age of Ultron.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, that was a pretty good movie. It was just me rambling for about a half an hour talking about how much I liked the movie, and in order to increase your audience, it's possible that you need to talk about more than one subject, because multiple subjects interest multiple audiences, and as you draw those audiences in, you realize that you have a strength by talking about more than one thing. So that's another thing you can do. Try to talk about things other than My Little Pony related material. Alright, so what is it like being a fan of My Little Pony Friendship is Magic? Well, it can be a very mixed experience. Personally, for one thing, I love the show, and I love being a member of the fandom. I have been a fan of the show for about 3 years now, and in that time I have grown to love it so much. My viewership of the show has become a big part of my life in that short amount of time, and through that my viewership of the show, I've actually made a couple of acquaintances and friends over the internet, even if it's through YouTube commenters. There are people who support my work, there are people who saying they like what I do, they like what I talk about, and they even have Skype accounts that you can communicate with them on. And that's another thing that you can do. As an MLP fan, you can also befriend a lot of people on Skype. Because this fan base is so widespread, it's really easy to come across people who have a common interest that you have. So you can, it's actually really easy getting a Skype account, and it's actually for free. I gotta be honest, at first I thought that a Skype account would cost money because, well, I was searching on Bing rewards. Yeah, so they are practically liars now that I realized how much fun it is to talk on Skype for free. There are so many people that you can talk to over the internet using Skype alone. And it really is a great way to communicate with people, and it's a really great way for people in the fandom to connect. You can talk about which characters interest you, you can talk about which episodes are your favorites, you can talk about all sorts of topics that you enjoy, anything like that. And now I have to talk about the other things about the fandom that kind of weaken its morale. The thing is, with every fandom, there is going to be at some point when a large amount of the population that glorified the show in the first place is starting to lose interest in their viewership of the show. They're going to think that the show is going through seasonal rot, the stories are becoming bad, the characters are flanderized or not interesting anymore, there's plot holes and loopholes that they're taking. Yeah, it's, the thing is, it might not have been so bad if it wasn't so ridiculous. I mean, I've seen the most ridiculous complaints towards later seasons of the show, and they just don't apply to me very well. And I understand that is my problem, but I'm not the only one with that problem, considering the other side of the fandom that's trying to do its best to keep the morality of the fandom up, trying to talk about what they love about the show, regardless of the problems that it has. And the best thing about this fandom is that in rare occasions, the best of this fan base can come together to make great things happen. Like recently there was this donation run for someone named Keyframe. She was in a troubled situation. I don't want to reiterate anything that was going on because it's a very, very uncomfortable matter to go back to. Through the power of sharing a video on YouTube and even making our own videos to share on the subject, we managed to raise for her over $23,000 in 1 month so that she can move to the opposite side of the country, get an apartment, look for a job. It's really great to know that this fandom took time out of its existence to help someone who needed it. And now she's with Golden Fox, and those two are doing so great, and I am so happy to know that they're doing fine. That's the best thing about being a Brony. It actually, the whole Keyframe thing alone kind of revived a lot of respect that I've had for this fandom. Despite all of its flaws and all the annoying things that have come with its divided state, there's still so much goodness in this fandom. And it was all proven by the efforts of this donation, that people came together and we made something really great happen. And now it's time for my own personal history as a reviewer of the show. The thing is, I was one of those people who had a really hard time accepting that the fandom was in a divided state. And alongside episode reviews, I did rant videos towards certain members of the analysis community. And you can imagine how well that turned out. At some point I realized that maybe this wasn't a good idea, not because of the backlash I've been getting, but because maybe these rants are leaving a bad influence on the fandom. So I went into a little more looking into what this has been doing, and I realized it really hasn't been leaving a good impression on the fandom. And the thing is, one of the people that I ranted on, Golden Fox, he was actually very forgiving of what I was doing. And he made a very calm and collective response to me on his journal. And through that journal, I got to talk to him in the comments. We eventually got to talk to each other through private notes. And we did all sorts of things for each other to help cheer us up. And we've moved past the whole thing. And the thing is, he even helped me put together an OC alongside a couple of other people in a Skype chat that I was in. It really meant a lot to me that after I acted like such a jerk, that I was given another chance to prove to the fandom that I was capable of improving my attitude towards its divided state. I mean, it wasn't too bad that there were, inevitably there were going to be people who were going to lose interest in the show because of the changes in its later seasons, but the reasons for disliking the show's later seasons became so ludicrous that I just couldn't take it. And I felt like no one else was talking against this, so I felt like it had to be me. And even if I had understandable intentions, I really was going about it the wrong way. So what I did was I made an apology to each member of the fandom that I did a rant on at the end of my finale. And following that, I did a top 5 mistakes countdown in which I did an entire summary of what I was feeling, all the regrets, and all the regret that I had been feeling about making those rant videos. And what I want to do is, now that it's over, I want to move past that. I want to do something else, something new with my channel. I mean, Billy West earlier today, he talked about you don't want to be remembered as a jerk. You want to be remembered for your work. And is this what I want to be remembered for, just this guy who gets angry at people? No, I don't feel like this is something that I want to be remembered for as a brony or as a reviewer of the show. I want to be remembered as a person who tried to make the world, or at least this fandom, a better place to be in by talking about nice things about the fandom and stuff like that. Even interesting topics that come to my head that have been brought upon by my viewership of the show. I want to do something else with my channel. I want to move on past that, past me that I really regret acting like. So, without further ado, I can actually show you what it's like to do an episode review. The first step is typing the script. And I have a script for a review of Equestria Girls.
Part 1 or Part 2?
Part 1. So, as you can see, I am going to do a YouTube review of the episode in due time. But for now, I got a planned script, and I'm going to read it out loud, so you'll get an experience of what it's like to talk about what you're going to review. 3, 2, 1. When Equestria Girls was first announced, people went nuts, and not in the good way. Sure, there were people who were open to the idea of a movie where the main six turned into humans, but then you had the people who considered it a jumping the shark moment, where there were even some people who went so far as to leave the fandom and become full-fledged anti-bronies. But enough about Chad Rocco. I know, that was a really cheap pot shot for me to take, although the last 3 years of Chad Rocco's internet material has made that pot shot slightly easier to laugh at. Now that some time has passed, there are some people who have moved past the whole thing and have even gotten over the drama. But does that make the movie any better? Let's see. Twilight and the main six are invited to the Crystal Empire for a slumber party. Yes, I'm going with slumber party because they immediately go to sleep when they get there. While they're asleep, someone infiltrates Twilight's room and steals her element, escaping into a mirror that teleports her to another world. Twilight is assigned to go through the mirror alongside Spike, as it's revealed that this world is the human equivalent of Equestria. Twilight discovers that the thief who stole the crown, Sunset Shimmer, has parted to Canterlot High, where Twilight and Spike meet the human counterparts of the main six. After learning about certain aspects of their past, Twilight must bring the human main six together and stop Sunset Shimmer from gaining the power of the element of magic. I'll openly admit that over the years, I've had some kind of love-hate relationship with this movie. At first I was being cynical and enjoying myself making fun of it. Then I came to the conclusion that the movie wasn't horrible, just kind of bad.
50-50?
But now I can safely say that after putting some more thinking into it, the movie is actually a lot better than I remember it. But that doesn't mean that I'm interested in watching it again. Let's look at it first. First of all, the characters are all really good. Well, not all of them, but we'll get to that. The human main six seem to perfectly represent their pony counterparts. They all seem to do the things we'd expect the characters to do, and none of it is taken to ridiculous extremes. What they do is funny, charming, and most importantly, in character. I also really like seeing Twilight trying to interact with a world that she really isn't used to. What people refer to as the fish out of water formula. Sorry, I got something in my throat. I'm practically Discord from that one moment from Keep Friends, but blah, blah, blah. There's all sorts of great humor surrounding her lack of understanding how the human body works, how a human is supposed to act, what type of appearance they're supposed to uphold in public, all sorts of silly stuff. Easily my favorite thing about this movie, at least now, is Twilight's connection to the human main six. She knows everything she would have to know about them, but since human Twilight is yet to make an appearance, they don't know anything about her. As the film progresses, she has to think of a way to gain their trust, as well as get them to trust each other, and form a plan to retrieve the elements as friends. Seeing Twilight interact with the human main six is great because even though she knows them from another universe, they're still strangers to her in some way. She has to figure out what happened to them and what she has to do in order to get their old gang back together. And the human main six learning to forgive and look past their misunderstandings with her help gives them some nice character development on top of the character that's already been established. It truly feels like Twilight became friends with them all over again, and all of it is incredibly satisfying. People might call it fan service, but I actually really appreciate the numerous cameos that the movie has too, showing all sorts of different characters from the show, like Trixie, the CMC, Granny Smith, Big Mac, Vinyl Scratch, Diamond Tiara, Silver Spoon, Photo Finish, and many more. The songs, while taking place in ridiculous settings and situations, are all fun to watch, and even more fun to listen to. They each have their different setup, different amount of contribution to the plot, different styles and uses of the animation, and different mixes. My favorite for some reason is the one at the end of the credits. I don't know, I've always had a soft spot for those songs that play during the credits to close out the story. And now for the stuff that does not work. Sorry, I got the throat thing again. Specifically, two of the reoccurring characters. Sunset Shimmer just feels like a really, really uninteresting villain. Yes. She was Celestia's original student and got mad at her for not getting what she wanted. Now she's putting together a plot to steal the crown and get back at Celestia by taking control of Equestria. But to do that, she's going to put together a bunch of ridiculous plans that kind of don't make sense. I mean, first she plans to get Twilight kicked out of a contest, and now she wants her to be in the contest. Then she wants her to lose the contest, and instead of using Spike as a hostage, she lets him go. She plans to destroy a portal with a hammer, plans to use an army of non-magic beings to take over a world running with magic creatures that can easily defend themselves. I have no idea how this makes sense. She's just not an interesting antagonist, or even an interesting character. The only one less interesting than her is Flash Century. Oh my god, has everybody attacked this guy? He has no personality. He has nothing to do with the plot. He has no funny lines, no funny moments, no identifiable course, and on top of that, he is set up to be the love interest of the main protagonist. Why would you think that pitting an interesting character with an uninteresting character as a couple would work out in the slightest? Heck, the two don't even have a sensible chemistry. I mean, sure, they talk and they see each other and they dance, but they don't develop anything that equals a well-developed romance. And to be honest, and I know I'm going to be bombarded by the anti-flashlight pairing people here, I think it could work. Oh, I was expecting all of you to come up here and choke me to death. Alright, anyway, I think that Twilight, the center of the series, is very deserving of a relationship since it would challenge her placement as a princess in training. Heck, I actually believe that Flash Century can be an interesting character if the writers actually tried. I've seen fan fictions that write him off as an incredibly complex character. If your fans are better at writing your characters than you are, chances are you should take some advice from them. And keep in mind that this is completely subjective. Making a My Little Pony movie about crossing over with the human world, at least in this concept, feels like a very wasted opportunity. I'm not talking about everyone throwing crap at the Equestria games. At this point, that whole storm has become a completely broken record. I'm talking about something that really could have been a ton of fun. I mean, this movie introduces the idea that alternate dimensions is completely canon. That's the coolest frickin' thing ever. You could have Twilight visit a reverse world that she actually interacts with her friends in darker counterparts, or a universe where a war broke out and she has to save it from being destroyed. There's so many endless possibilities. But instead, they decide to turn it into a high school drama comedy, which, while in itself isn't a bad decision, just leaves me feeling rather disappointed. And of course, there's the ton of questions that I have to ask that I know will make me look like an annoying buttocks. I know I typed a different word up here, but I should get rid of it because I see there is someone under the age of 14 in the audience. Why does the element of magic transform Sunset into a demon? How did the human main six transform into furries? Why does the royal guard suck at their job? Why don't Twilight and Cadence do their shake? Why is Spike a dog? How did Sunset know when exactly the bearer of magic would be at the Empire at the same time she was planning to steal the crown? Why does no one notice that a dog with no leash or license is inside a school? If Sunset tricked the human main six into not seeing each other that one time, couldn't they have given each other a phone call to clear up the misunderstanding instead of automatically deciding to hate each other? Why does the human world use pony names? Why does Sunset Shimmer plan on taking over Equestria with a human army when there are numerous ways this can be countered by a populace of dragons and magical horses? And what the F does this mean? The magic contained in my element was able to unite with those that helped create it. I still don't get it. I swear to God, I am never going to understand what they were thinking when they wrote that line of dialogue. And after everything is set straight, Sunset is reformed, everyone has their dance despite property damage, Twilight returns home after not making closure with Flash Sentry, and the movie ends. Fun? Like I said before, this movie has great things going for it. The character interactions are great. Twilight's newly found friendship in a different version of her friends is great. The songs and the animation are great. Spike's characterization in this movie was great. The cameos of various background characters are great. However, I will admit that the villain was uninteresting, the romance was repetitive, the concept wasn't as interesting as it could have been, and the climax was really stupid. So while Equestria Girls is a lot better than I remember it, and it gets a lot more hate than it deserves, it doesn't seem strong enough to keep me coming back to see it numerous times in the future, along with anyone else who liked it more than I did. I don't know, it's not bad, it's just not my thing. Now Rainbow Rocks, on the other hand, we'll get to that awesomeness another time.
Next year.
Roll credits. Thank you for the applause. And now I also have an additional treat. I actually was, due to a couple of things, I have been very late to reviewing episodes in the last couple of weeks, and because I'm at this convention and I don't have access to a quieter background, I'm also going to be late for tomorrow's episode, and I think everyone in this convention is also going to be late to it because I don't know if they have a TV or if they have Discovery Family.
I got one.
All right. Well, anyway, in order to make up for the fact that I'm going to be late to uploading this video onto my YouTube, I have here my review of Princess Spike. Who wants to see it?
It's a funny episode, right? Right? It's a funny episode.
You'll see. In 3, 2, 2.5, 1, 1 3/4. No, I just went up. I just went backwards in counting down. 0.5 seconds, 0.2. All right, let's just get it over with. Oh God, you mean to tell me that a writer from Johnny Test is going to write a Spike episode? Well, who knows? Maybe it'll be good. I mean, you can't just be like Mr. Enter and expect the episode to. God damn it! Awesome intro. So here we are, Princess Spike, an episode that people have been talking about weeks before its airing for several notable reasons. Many people were worried about the episode not being good because of its name, the fact that its writer had previously worked on Johnny Test, and that, well, it was a Spike episode. Of course, I wasn't going to let any of these things cause me to worry about the episode, and I kept my hopes high that the writers would continue to give Spike the respect that he deserves. What we got was my new least favorite episode of Season 5 so far. Alright, let's start from the beginning. The Grand Equestria Pony Summit is at hand, and Twilight is responsible for taking care of personal matters later in the same day. However, since she spent a lot of restless time working on the ceremony, she needs sleep in order to be ready for her next duties. Spike is tasked with making sure that Twilight gets the sleep that she needs, but somewhere down the line he gets too full of himself and begins to use Twilight's authority as a means for his own selfish benefits. Firstly, the episode's story, or at least its main plot, feels fairly simple. The main conflict involves preventing Twilight's nap from being interrupted throughout. But somewhere down the line, the episode begins to suffer from some kind of identity crisis. I mean, first it's about Twilight trying to get some sleep, then it's about Spike doing a bunch of favors for the townspeople, then it's about him using Twilight's princesshood for his own desires, then it's about a whole bunch of mishaps provided by previously bad decision-making. Ultimately, this episode loses track of what it wants to be, and that could hurt its pacing. Which wouldn't be so bad if the character was fun to watch, right? Well, Spike doesn't come across as very interesting this time around. This isn't even me expecting better writing from him after episodes like the Equestria Games and Inspiration Manifestation. I just wanted Spike to have good writing given to his character casually. And the writing for him in this episode isn't really good. Firstly, he seems to overreact ridiculously to a lot of noise-making in the first act, which again wouldn't have been so bad if it wasn't proven to be bad decision-making in the end. Later on, he ends up getting too cocky with how he uses Twilight's reputation for his own desires, which doesn't really feel like him. It was okay at first when he was helping delegates with their problems, but after that, it felt like the episode was trying way too hard with his selfishness. At some point, he tells himself that he did a good job today just because making sure Twilight got some sleep was the only thing Cadance asked of him. Well, I hate to break it to ya, but flooding the city is not a job well done. At the end, he talks about the lesson he learned, but even then, it seems that he would have known better than that. Even going by the thought of he's just being a kid, the episode has way too many consequences for that to be seen as a reasonable justification for his mistakes. Aside from that, the episode is surprisingly unfunny. This isn't really a problem if the episode isn't aiming for making its audience laugh, but given the number of jokes in this episode, it feels like the episode was trying to be funny. But the scenario that the characters are placed in and the setup for these jokes feels so bland and uninteresting that the writers are given very little to work with. As a result, the episode suffers from very weak humor. Outside of Twilight talking in her sleep and a mime, I don't remember giggling or even chuckling at anything in this episode. The third act also feels kind of rushed. It begins with all of Spike's decisions resulting in the summit being damaged and an angry mob going to Twilight for what happened. Then Spike apologizes for his screw-ups, the mob is quick to forgive him, they rebuild a previously toppled statue symbolizing cooperation between others, and the episode ends on one last failed joke. The main flaw of the episode overall is that it just feels so boring. And it really is a shame since the episode takes place in Canterlot during what seems to be a political meeting amongst a wide range of other towns and environments in Equestria. With all these talks of economy and summits, I do feel curious as to how the politics in this world works. But we still need to make with what we got, and what we got was a really boring Spike episode, and honestly, the worst episode of Season 5 so far. A lot of people have talked about Appaloosa's Most Wanted being the worst episode of Season 5 so far, and in some ways it does have worse writing, but the episode still deserves credit for having good CMC characterization, a reasonably strong moral, and a likable side character. Princess Spike doesn't have any of those strengths. Spike's characterization is dim-witted at best and clueless at worst. There's no new side character introduced serving as a focus of the episode to keep our interest, and the moral just feels so basic and not told in an interesting way, let alone that it just feels like the same moral that we explored in Twilight Time. I don't mind the show tackling the same moral more than once in different ways and with different characters, but the episode itself still needs to elaborate its intentions in a unique way. And Princess Spike doesn't really do that. I guess it has a few nice things, like Cadance being a voice of caution, returning cameos by Fancy Pants and that French Griffin, and like I said, there are at least one or two instances that made me laugh. But overall, Princess Spike is a really unengaging affair. But that's not to say the episode is terrible for simply being boring and uninteresting. I can still see a lot of people liking the episode for what it is. Hell, considering that this was an episode written by someone who worked on Johnny Test, I'm actually surprised that this episode was as watchable as it was. But in the end, I just can't bring myself to say that I liked it. It's not that bad, but it's not an episode I'd watch again. MisAnthro Pony, over and out.
Oh, come on! I'm so bored. So very, very bored. I'm glad I won a bunch of coffee. Singing every song and then go slipping on the door. It's so dull. There's nothing to say. I'd rather sugar from the liver tongue. Beat it to a dog and then go play some croquet.
Did vampires suck out the humor? Maybe it could have worked if it had used Mr. T. Okay, you get the drill. So, anyway, yeah, that's everything that I was planning to do. I talked about what it's like to review the show, what you should do when reviewing the show, what it's like being in the fandom, my own personal backstory, and, one last thing that I also should bring up is that here's my OC. Yeah, that's what I look like through the efforts of Golden Fox, Lethal Aurora Mage, Fallen Wishes, and Scriptless. They were all very nice to me, and they really helped me put together this OC. It's really nice. Originally, I wanted to go with something along the lines of this.
That's a little nerd.
It redefines cringeworthy. Yeah, thank God that they helped me out when I did, not to mention the cutie mark thing, because I'm pretty sure that now that I think about it, that other design would have been a disaster. But enough about my OC. I promised that at the end of the panel I would do some Q&A, so if anyone has a question, now would be the time to raise your hand. You, good sir.
Talking about the Quester Girls, since the big understanding with the love princess between it, is it possible they would do the season MLP, Flash Century, and Twilight in that world will be at the relationship there, right? Like every episode?
Like if you want Flash Century and Twilight to be in the episodes together?
Yeah, maybe in the episode. And a little comedy act, because the brother character will be a little like a little overprotective in the episode, perhaps.
Yeah, I can understand an episode in the show where Twilight and Flash Century are interacting and Shining Armor being an overprotective brother. But the thing is, at least from what I've heard, the writers don't really know what to do with Flash Century, so I don't know about him being a reoccurring character. He did get a speaking role in Twilight's Kingdom, but as far as I know, they don't really use him for anything other than, you know, giving Twilight a very undeveloped romance from another dimension. And now that you think about it, the romance between those two characters and this pony version of Flash Century is kinda messed up. I mean, really think about it. Twilight is interacting with human Flash Century, not pony Flash Century. I mean, what is that? How are we supposed to feel about that? I mean, it kind of feels kind of creepy that she's dating someone from another dimension, and then she's trying to date the alternate persona of someone who has not interacted with her in the least. Yeah, it raises a lot of questions. So,
like kidnap both of them and throw them both through the portal into the other side.
Kidnap both of them and throw them into the portal to the other side? That would make a good plot line for Equestria Girls 4.
Or part 3's coming up, right?
Yeah, but enough about part 3. Who else has a question? You.
Were you ever a closet brony?
Oh, I did very little to hide the fact that I was a fan of this show. Yeah, I brought home with me a Pinkie Pie plushie, and my sister and my mother questioned my choice highly.
Oh, cliche grown-ups.
Yeah, my mother knows that I watch the show, and she knows that I'm doing a Brony, and that I'm doing a couple of things on YouTube to contribute to my viewership of the show. But as far as I know, nobody else in the family really cares that much that I'm a viewer of the show, and I think that's fine. Like, you don't have to care. It's just a television show. I mean, we all watched cartoons growing up, so why should this one feel any different? Why? Just because it was originally a toy line to get money from little girls? And it's Hasbro. They're going to do that no matter who the audience is, so we might as well try to make the show better than it had any right to be, right? Okay, is there anyone with a question? You already asked a question, so I will go with you.
Have you ever interacted with Latin American bronies? Because with them it doesn't exist love and tolerance.
Oh, you mean, have I ever interacted with Latin American or Mexican bronies? As far as I know, I don't believe I have interacted with anyone. I have no way of knowing what ethnic culture of bronies I'm interacting with, especially because it's over YouTube comments. I actually was told just before I came here that FNGR was a Mexican by TK. I don't know, maybe it was a joke, I shouldn't assume anything, but I was told by TK that he was a Mexican in a military hat when I came in. Does anyone else have a question? Anyone in the... Oh, you, with the kind of red hair, but not fully red hair, so it's easy to tell that you dyed it.
Thanks for that.
Also be sure to talk up, increase the volume of your voice, because you're kind of in the back row. It might be hard for me to hear you.
Well, I was like wondering, did you ever do any like crossovers with the other reviewers, like with Golden Fox or Fiery Joker or anyone like that?
I don't think anyone wants to do a collab with me after the crap that I pulled.
Have you seen some of the Fiery Joker's reviews?
Oh yeah, that's a really interesting thing about, that's actually one of my favorite things about the Brony analysis community. When they do crossovers, they combine the personalities of these characters, and seeing these personalities walk off of each other is so entertaining. The thing is, I'm too busy working on my original plans to be interested in the idea of a collab. But some people have actually asked me about if I'm interested in doing a collab. I am open to the idea of doing a review with someone else, but I'm still working on my own ideas. I have to catch up with episode reviews, and I also have to work on a couple of other side projects that I said that I would do. Anyone else got a question? Anyone in the back row? I see an arm over there. Do you think you could stand up so I can see you? All right, now speak up. What is your question?
I have an off-topic one.
All right, go ahead with the off-topic question, despite that it will have nothing to do with My Little Pony. 2 questions?
No.
All right, I'm sorry. Just go ahead and ask your question, and speak up because you're in the back row. I need to hear you.
Do you think Fluttershy's going to hook up with Big Bang? Yeah!
Everyone get out of the room! There's a stripper inside of here! You know how crazy those people get. It's not funny. They will rip apart the comment section of Derpyboro with you so much as pair Fluttershy with Soren. I swear to God. Don't do it. Just don't. It's friendship is magic, not romance is magic.
Fluttermack is magic.
It is not. I mean, okay, I support Fluttermack, but no, just don't do it openly, okay? Just don't openly do it. Anyone else got a question that will have less unfortunate implications? Could you stand up so I can see you? And remember to increase the volume of your voice because you are in the other side of the room.
Okay, so how do you feel about the Mattel using My Little Pony body bases for their new Pegasus Monster High?
Oh, I'm sorry. I couldn't quite hear that. Could you say it a little louder?
How do you feel about Mattel using the My Little Pony body bases for their new Horse Monster High dolls?
Wait, you mean to tell me that Matilda is stealing from Hasbro?
Yeah, pretty much.
I didn't even know that, so I can't have an opinion on that question. I'm sorry. Anyone else got a question? Anyone at all? It could be... you, Scott.
Yeah. In your professional opinion, is Tree Hugger on something?
I've been wondering myself.
That question is the mystery of the ages.
Young one is gone, you can say it.
Personally, I don't think she's on any drugs. I don't even think Hasbro would allow it. Yeah, she is the hipster type of character, and we all know that hipsters tend to do all sorts of ridiculous things, and they have been involved in drug use. I don't want to assume anything, because I'm pretty sure that there are a lot of people who are saying, oh no, hipsters aren't like that at all, that this is a bad episode because of its bad reputation of hippies. So I just want to enjoy Tree Hugger for what she was. She was a calm character with assuming and relaxed background, and seeing her work off of Discord's more chaotic personality was so much fun. Anyone else got a question?
I mean, then again, they did bring back the Lebowski pony.
Oh yeah, they brought back the Lebowskis for the 100th episode, the shameless compilation of fan pandering. And it actually gave Gummy a speaking role.
Oh yeah.
Alright, anyway, I still got time for a few questions. Anyone got one? Anyone at all? You.
Who's best pony and why is it Twilight?
Well, there's no point in asking that question if you already know what the answer is. But anyway, did you want to know who I think is my favorite character in the show? Basically, my favorite character of the show is more or less the Scrappy in the last couple of years, and... it is Pinkie Pie. And I have no regrets in saying that. Oh, thank you for the thumbs up. At least someone doesn't think she was flanderized in Season 4. The thing about Pinkie Pie is what I love about her is her enthusiasm. She is always so energetic and full of life. You see it compared to all of the other characters. She is always standing out the most. She is always doing something to occupy the viewer's time, and everything she does, it is so optimistic, it is energetic, is enthusiastic. I know it's past 8 o'clock. It's just so much fun seeing all of the random stuff that she does and how she works off the other characters and what she does to make the episode funny and make the other characters happy. It's just so much fun seeing her interact, and it's so much fun seeing her grow as a character, even though a lot of people have been split about the way they think of her in later seasons. I believe I have time for 2 more questions. Anyone else who didn't get a question? You.
Yeah, I know you might get something like that, a question like that before, but who's your least favorite character, or least favorite pony in this case?
That is a question that my least favorite of the main 6. That's not a question that I feel comfortable with being asked, because it means that I'd be acting biased towards the rest of the main 6.
Not the main 6. It doesn't have to be the main 6.
Oh, I'm sorry. My least favorite character?
Yeah.
Well, everyone hates Snips and Snails, so I might as well say that they have done absolutely nothing for the show. At least Diamond Tiara actually had something to do with the plot of CMC-related episodes. So yeah, Snips and Snails actually are my least favorite characters. I'm sorry I misunderstood your question. All right, one more question from someone who has not yet asked a question. You in the Spike uniform. I'm sorry, woman on the other side of the room in black.
Who would you say your favorite character is, not including the main six?
Oh, my favorite character who is not a member of the main six. That's a toughie. I never thought of that. Actually, it's Spike. My favorite non-main six character is Spike because he is somewhat recruiting main member of the main cast, and he has gotten a lot of good character development in a couple of years, like episodes such as the Equestria Games, and even in earlier seasons and down the line, he was a voice of reason, and he has been shown to be a lot better than a lot of people make him out to be. A lot of people just think, and I don't blame them for this, because the writers have admitted that they don't know what to do with Spike, so it has kind of caused his character to not be seen as a very interesting one, but I still got a lot of hope for Spike. I think he's going to grow into a really great character, and I look forward to seeing whatever the show has for him in the future. Well, that's the end of my panel. I'm sorry if I took up anyone's time or if I was stalling a different panel. Anyway, thank you all for coming, and wait, before we go, I am about to throw something into the audience, and whoever catch it wins it.
Go Discord, go! Got it!
We have a winner! You win a completely useless eraser. And cut.